Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Mindbody Medicine for chronic pain. Get cozy, because we have a nice topic today. We are talking about the end of the line. This is it. If you're listening to this podcast and you're working on healing from chronic pain, then you are here with me. We have all reached the end of the line. So settle in, get cozy, whatever you're doing, if you're driving or, I listen to podcasts while doing something else. But I would encourage you to approach this, I talk about driving as if I drive regularly. I live in New York. I do not drive regularly. I usually, when I'm listening to a podcast, I'll be like at the gym, uh, cooking, food prep, going to the grocery store, walking somewhere. Those are my typical walking, especially. Well, the gym too. Whatever you're doing, I would encourage you to come to this with the energy of getting cozy. Starting to cool off in New York, which I love. This is my favorite time of year, where it's not like cold yet, but it's not hot anymore. Ooh, the fall is it is my favorite time. And Halloween is coming up. The happiest of Halloweens to all who celebrate. Definitely. I would say Halloween is it's kind of a tie between Halloween and Christmas, but like, woo-wee, it's one of my favorite holidays. I do love Halloween. I am, just to let you know, in case you were curious, I am going to dress this year. Well, I have two different events, so obviously there's two different costumes. I'm going to be dressing so far, the plan is I will be dressing as, PETA from Hunger Games, which I recognize is maybe a little outdated, but I'm like, me and some of my friends are all, we were sort of joking about going as different Hunger Games characters, but we were like, but that's so like, 2000 whatever, like that's over. But then we got really into it, and now it's like it's actually I think it's just really happening. So I'm like literally on Amazon trying, for those who are familiar with the character of PETA, he is the son of a bread smith, I guess you could say, a baker. So I'm literally on Amazon looking at like realistic looking bread loaf plastic props, and let me tell you, they have a really good selection. So it's going to be hard to pick, but I'm like, all right, so we're getting the PETA costume for it's going to be PETA while in the Hunger Games arena, so he's going to be a little messed up and bloody, obviously, for Halloween. And then I'm also going to an event that is ABBA, like an ABBA cover band, I want to say. So I have to have an ABBA themed costume. So Lord knows it is. I am busy, busy, busy with all of that. And I hope for those of you who are celebrating, you are going to have a fun Halloween too. Such a great holiday. Okay, enough of that nonsense. Let's talk. Let's talk. This is the end of the line. So I'm going to start this podcast with a story. So when I graduated from my MSW program, I was 25 or maybe 26 that first year. I was like right in there, mid 20s. And my first, so I worked at this like very rough clinic as a social worker and therapist there. And after it was I was there for literally 9 months. I was like it was a combination of like newbie anxiety and totally burnt out. That was such an intense job. It was fun and great. And like I learned a fuck ton about being a therapist, and I learned a lot, but it was brutal, and the paperwork was outrageous. And I mean, oh my God. And I always wanted to get out of there. And an opportunity came up to work at a school-based health center in the same network. So it was kind of a promotion, but it was basically like a lateral move. And this position came up, and I begged my supervisor, like, can I please, please, please work in the school-based health center? And he was like, yeah, like, go ahead. Have at it. And it was such a good opportunity. And that's where I spent most of my years, when you're I mean, it's not worth getting into. It's like there's different levels of licensure as a therapist. I was an MSW at the time. Now I'm an LCSW. That's like the highest level of licensure. But when you're at the lower level, you have to work under an LCSW and accrue your hours. Most of my hour accruing was done in a school-based health center at Washington Irving High School. Washington Irving was like a massive, massive high school in Manhattan on Irving Place between 16th Street and 17th Street. I know that very well from when you're a social worker in a high school, you unfortunately have to interact with the cops more frequently than I would have liked to. And it was me when you call 911, I didn't know this until being a therapist and social worker in this school. What they're like, 911, where's your emergency? That's how they start the call. Where's your emergency? So I'd always be like, oh, Irving Place between East 16th and East 17th Street, Washington Irving High School. Um, the school was like an ancient, massive vintage building from like the early 1900s, and it was gorgeous, truly gorgeous. You walk into the school and the lobby, first of all, the school had a lobby. Like the lobby was this two-story beautiful space with this wraparound balcony on the second level looking down onto the first. Everything was completely covered in like dark wooden paneling. It was truly gorgeous. And it was there were also these like old antique mural renderings on all the walls, like the higher part. I mean, it was like soaring ceilings. The higher part had all these murals of like olden timey Americana scenes, which were a little nuts, but like I mean, so there's like a whole panel, for example, dedicated to like ornately detailed beavers was one of them, and like one really beautiful one, like a golden accented map of all the Great Lakes, and one was like literally one was Native Americans slaying a deer. That was one of them. Another one was legit, I kid you not, Native Americans and white people at war. Crazy. I mean, you can't make this shit up. It was like literally a depiction of like not quite. It was well, I guess you'd call it hand-to-hand combat. Each had like little handheld weapons, and it was like you know, hand-to-hand fighting war between like Dutchmen and Native Americans, all wearing, garb in the traditional style of their respective peoples. So it was, I guess you could say the decorative scheme was fully insane, but when you looked at the details, but if you zoomed back and just saw the whole thing, like when you walked into that building, the overall impact was that it was fucking breathtaking. Washington Irving High School was beautiful. Um, the school itself had, unfortunately been deemed a failing school due to its very low graduation rate, and it had, closed. And that was many years before I ever worked there, but Washington Irving was reopened as like a campus, which is common in New York City public schools, where a big failing school, which unfortunately there are many of, will get shut down and it's reopened as like multiple smaller schools within the one building because it's seen that's sort of like a better model to have multiple little smaller schools. So the schools that were there in the building, like I mean, they had a lot of heart and a lot of good qualities, but like I don't I none of the schools in the building would be considered like outstanding schools. And the whole place was like on police lockdown. All the kids had to go through metal detectors, like airport security style, every single morning just to get into school. That was the vibe. So it was a beautiful space and it was a rough space. Um, Scanning is what they called it, like going through scanning. But okay, the health center where I worked was actually fucking awesome. School-based health is a movement that I didn't know anything about until I worked in a school-based health center. And the whole idea of the school-based health center movement is that it's healthcare that goes to the high needs population. The system doesn't just wait for the like underserved high needs patients to come to the clinics. The clinics go where the where the patients in need are. So in a school-based health center, teenagers get healthcare that's free, non-judgmental, and confidential. And they have these in many, 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 many schools. Like Washington Irving is by no means unique. God, I wish they had it. I mean, what would it have been like if Cretin-Derham Hall in St. Paul, Minnesota had a school-based health center, but they never would have because it was I mean, I don't think they have school-based health centers in Catholic schools, and Cretin would never have allowed I mean, it would have been literally impossible to have this in, in the community I grew up in, this would actually have been literally impossible to have a clinic like this and to offer services like this, which is sad and shows, how sort of, like, deprived my childhood was, but, anyway, a school-based health center, there's many, they're all over the country, they probably have them in other countries too. I went once to a school-based health center, conference where many of the people were from Arkansas, and there's a ton in the South. It was, the school-based health is a fucking movement, and it's awesome. Okay. Free, non-judgmental, confidential healthcare for teenagers, and that means, above all, their parents don't have to know about services for A, mental health, which is what I was, of course, providing, and B, most importantly, the most important service at a school-based health center, reproductive health. So this shit was controversial. We were the people who took the teenage girls to get pregnancy terminations without parental consent. That was what we were doing. This happens. This is not unique to Washington Irving. This is what school-based health centers are about. And of course, they do everything. It's like you can get your sports physical at a school-based health center. You can get your immunizations at a school-based health center. And you can get taken to a clinic to do a pregnancy termination that your parents have no idea is even happening. That is legal. I don't mean every state is different, so the services might be different in different states. In New York, that is legal. Some people obviously think that should not be legal, but let me just say, it's important. I'm like, I know this is sort of deep into a sidebar right now, but I'm glad we're talking about this on this podcast because if I have a platform, it's like you might as well fucking talk about what matters. Let me just say this. Some people think it should not be legal. Well, that kind of work. If you had seen what I have seen, then you would know. A pregnancy termination in the right place at the right time can save a young woman's life. Not to mention save a young man's life who would need to become a father and assume that social and financial role in this world and in this economy and in New York City at like age 16. Impossible. 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 All of the futures and the dreams and the hopes and the childhoods that would be completely destroyed, completely destroyed if it were not for the availability of a pregnancy termination. Wow. Wow. And, let me say this. Most of the teenagers who decided to terminate pregnancies, which let me say was so common. People don't know. This happened constantly. It was regular. This was not like once or twice a year this would happen and it'd be like, "Oh my god, it's happening." This was many times a month. This happened regularly. Abortions are so common. So stop the stigma and just like get your abortion and let other people get theirs. Stop the fucking stigma. But okay, anyway, what I was saying, most teenagers who decided to terminate their pregnancies, most of these were girls who would say, like, please don't tell my mom. And then within like a week, they would have told their moms themselves. And the moms would say, you did the right thing. God, it almost like makes me want to cry just thinking about this. It was really intense. I mean, this is really fucking intense. Whew. That was the most common story. It would start with, please, please, please don't tell my mom. And, you know, the nurse practitioners and everybody who worked at the clinic, yeah, we would say, like, we won't. We don't have to. And if you don't want your parents involved, they don't have to be. And then the young woman would go home and they would tell their mom. And it was the same with mental health. You know, like, I would start therapy with a teenager who'd be like, "Oh God, please, anything, just don't tell my parents. They would kill me if they knew I was in therapy. Oh God, don't tell my parents." And then I just would say, "Okay, if it's going to be detrimental to your mental health to tell your parents, then we don't have to. We can do it confidentially. That's okay." And then within a couple weeks, they would come to a session and be like, "You know, I told my mom that I'm in therapy." That was the most common situation. Um, but okay. I just want to paint this picture because this stigmatized stuff happens in the shadows, and social workers see it, and nurses and nurse practitioners and doctors, we see it, but many people do not see it. This is a sidebar, but I'm like, now that we're talking about this, we're talking about this. If there is one thing I have learned from being a social worker all these years, I mean, I've learned so many things, but truly, if there's one most important thing that I've learned, this is it. Most people's lives are touched by stigmatized issues. The issues that we think, like, rarely happen, you know, issues like abortion, addiction, sexual abuse, HIV, incest, even like homosexuality, transgender issues. The issues that we think are so stigmatized and you're not supposed to talk about it and they're supposed to be rare, these things are commonplace. Most people's lives are touched by stigmatized issues in some way, themselves or a family member. Most people's lives. So common. I'm saying this on this podcast. We're doing the sidebar to the sidebar. I'm just saying this so you know, like, if you're listening to this and you think you're alone with your issue, you're not. You're not alone with your issue. You're really, really not. Oh, wow. And yeah, just to say, the option to terminate a pregnancy gives a young person their life back, their dreams back, their hopes back, their goals back, their money back. So important to acknowledge that having that option gives a young person their life back. And of course, it's young women, of course. And it's also very important to acknowledge that the same applies to young men. The same logic applies that the option for a termination gives young men their lives back, their dreams back, their hopes back, their futures back, their money back. And the same goes for all their families. Abortion, access to an abortion is good for everyone involved. Everyone. And, I mean, I had the way that the movement is framed as a women's kind of as like a woman's issue. Um, I think obviously the anti-abortion movement is an anti-woman movement and an anti-female empowerment movement for sure. There's no question about that. My God. Um, the pro-abortion movement and the pro-choice movement, however you want to think of it, really, that's a movement for all of us. Men, women, families, uh, trans and non-binary people for sure, because not every person who gets pregnant is and identifies as a woman. Um, of course, there's a movement to encourage talking about pregnant people rather than talking about pregnant women because gender diversity. Hello, welcome. The reason I'm talking about it in this podcast more as a young women is just because that's in my personal experience. That's what we saw at the clinic, but that's obviously not everyone's experience. Oh, it is just so important to acknowledge that this stigmatized stuff happens to so many people, and that I just think it's really important to name access to a pregnancy termination, access to abortion should be available for everyone, period. Okay, so we did a bunch of stuff at the school-based health clinic. I was and I was the mental health person. So I had a whole okay, we're out of the sidebar. Now we're into the story that we're really here to talk about. So I had a whole little therapy practice operating out of this health center, and I had a whole bunch of kids who would rotate in and out, off and on my caseload. I saw them for weekly therapy, many of them, or they just like drop by and like come in here and there. And it was such a fun job. Of course, it was also super chaotic and kind of like a lot, and lots of like high risk stuff and crisis management and a lot of I mean, it was hard. I was a social worker in a hard school in New York City. It was hard, but it was also so fun, and the kids were so fun. Um, so we had of course, we had a lot of walk-ins, a lot of teenagers coming into the clinic in a crisis, or at least what they deemed to be a crisis, or teachers and classroom aides and whatnot would bring teenagers into our office and just like plop them down in a chair and be like, "Okay, your turn. Like you take this kid and help them, get them off my hands. I am so done. I cannot deal with this for one more second." And the main mental health walk-in issue was panic attacks, which of course was my job to deal with. Now, the clinic was busy. So it was like me as the social worker. There was a health educator. There was a few people who would rotate in and out of the front desk. There was a nurse practitioner who was in charge. Sometimes there was a nurse as well. Um, that was the staff. And I was busy. I had a whole therapy practice operating out of this place. So I was like seeing clients often back to back. Like, I was busy. And then, and I mean, it was a school, so a lot of, it was common enough that kids would miss their appointments or not come to school. So I did have a lot of like flexible time, but it was quite busy. So the most typical issue would be a student would be dropped off at the clinic having a panic attack, and Sean would be in with a different client. This happened constantly. So I would be busy and I was like, "Please don't interrupt me. Like, you can deal with a panic attack." The number of times that I tried to coach the nurses and the front desk staff, like, there's nothing magical about me. I use no instruments. I use no tools. I literally sit with the kid and talk to them and listen to them, and I do something called co-regulation. And, we had meetings where I was always trying to empower the other staff members, like, "Listen, let me talk about panic attacks again, because I wanna empower you that you can take care of a kid with a panic attack too. I'm not the only one who can do this. Let me explain to you how this works." And truly, once a kid, if a kid was having a panic attack, what would usually happen is that the nurse would freak out. The nurse would get super activated, become as panicky as the kid, freaking out. Oh God, Sean's not available. Oh God, I knocked on his door and he said he's not going to be available for 15 minutes. Oh no, oh God, and this kid is having a panic attack. What are we going to do? The energy was just like so hyped up, and that would set the kid off even more. They'd be crying. They'd be, wandering the hall of this place. It was nuts. I mean, the energy would just get so hyped up. And then my client would leave and I would open my door and I'd be like, "Okay, come on in." And then the kid had reached the end of the line. That's why I'm telling this story. When they got to me, I knew this is the end of the line. And I tried to train the other staff members in this, like, when they come to you, like, okay, that's it. They've reached the end of the line. Your job is just to sit with them, chill them out, talk to them and listen to them, engage them in conversation until they relax, because inevitably that will happen. Like, a panic attack won't last forever. They will relax. Unfortunately, that never got through. There really was nothing magical about me, except, I mean, maybe I do kinda have to own, like, there sort of was something magical about me in that role for a panic attack, because I truly had, even though it was scary and I was young, like, I was, what, 26, 26. I was 'cause I was 27, 28, 29, probably early 30 when I had this job. I was there for a few years. There's nothing that magical about me, except I had to have the confidence that I had to know I am the end of the line. There's no further to go. This is it. So we will sit here until you calm down. And so what I would do is just, after they'd been out in the hall with the nurse, like, oh God, breathe into this bag. Oh, Jesus Christ, relax. Oh, please, just relax. You're fine. You're fine. Sit down, take a walk, get up. Wait, move over there. Oh, God, get in this room. Oh, no. Is Sean ready? You know, I would sit with them and just be like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? And they would just get into talking and talk about what was going on. And I would just listen and listen attentively and listen with curiosity and listen with compassion. And it was like so easy to be compassionate because these were kids, they were teenagers who were just like, shit was going down in their lives. Or even if, say the issue, I don't know, to me maybe seemed like a little frivolous, you knew that there was deeper stuff going on. You knew that if they were so triggered by something that seemed frivolous, it was like, yeah, life is hard and you're a child. And it was so easy to be compassionate, and that made it so nice. So I would just sit with them, listen to them, and inevitably, eventually, they would calm down. It was the end of the line. It was the end of the line. And then, once they got to a calmer place, it was like, okay, what class do you have now? Can you go back to that class now? If not, okay. Like, maybe you have to go home for the day. Is that a possibility? If so, let's work that out. What are you going to do now? Whew, wow. Yeah. Just calming the fuck down. It's still, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. The fact that I tried so hard to train the other staff members in doing this, and they really couldn't get it. Like, I still, like, don't know what to make of that. Like, truly, I was there for 3.5 years, and, different staff cycled in and out, and nobody ever got it, which I was like, "Come on." But I'm sharing this now and sharing this with you because this is relevant for you. Let me bring this theme, this is the end of the line theme. Let me bring this home to you. Let's make this about you, because it's always about you. When you listen to this podcast, it is always about you. At the end of the day, we are here for you and for your healing. Your nervous system in the, if we consider this the allegory of the school-based health center and the panic attack kid, your nervous system is the kid having the panic attack. And you are now the one who has to have the confidence and has to know this is it. This is the end of the line. I have reached the end of the line and I am going to take care of you. Your chronic pain journey, your life, all of the shit you've been through in your life, it has been a long, long, long road. Right? Hasn't it been a long, long, long road? It has been a long, long road. Think of all that you've been through, all you've put up with, all the medical shit. But then once you know what TMS really is and the mind body connection, and once you know, like, oh, this pain is actually because of my stress and my trauma and my childhood and the fact that I never learned to feel safe in myself. I didn't learn to feel safe in my body. I didn't learn to feel safe with my emotions. I didn't learn to feel safe with being myself. Oh, shit. It has been a long, long road. I say this with confidence because I'm like, you're looking at, I know it. You're looking at someone who knows it because it's been a long road for me too. But you've found the answer now. And it's not an easy answer. And it's not the answer you expected. But you're here now and you found it. Let me say this directly to your nervous system. This is the end of the line. Something I've been getting into like feeling lately is I've been feeling into this myself, which is why I want to talk about it today. I was actually thinking about talking about something else, but then I was like, sometimes different episodes just kind of materialize, and this is one that just like materialized today. So I'm like, all right, we're talking about it today. Well, yesterday, yeah, today it just materialized. Something that I've been feeling into lately is like it has been a long road, and I'm old now. I wish I knew this stuff when I was young. I wish I'd been taught to love and respect myself and listen to myself and listen to my body when I was young. Even like, what if I knew this at age 15? What if I knew this at age 20? What if I knew this at age 25, at age 30? Now I'm 37, so I fully recognize, okay, I'm not old, but like I'm moving into the stage where I'm no longer young. It has been a long road and I'm old now. And I didn't know what was going on for so long. And there's so much missed life to grieve in there. Like, I mean, I don't know. People say like they have no regrets, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Some things in life, I'm like, I don't know. Do some people have no regrets? I don't know. I will say regret is a completely normal part of life. And if you have regrets, I do too. I have so many regrets, so many things I didn't do or didn't know at the right time or was too sick to even get into or too unwell. I mean, so many things that if I knew what I know now, I would have made radically different decisions in my life, radically. And I know, like I said, I'm 37. I'm not old. I know I still have so much to learn, so much to gain, so many ways in which I'll continue to grow. The same goes for you no matter what age you are, whether you're younger or older than me, the same goes for you. There's so much still to learn, so much to gain, so many ways to grow. And at least when it comes to understanding chronic pain, like there's so much growth to be done in all areas of life when it comes to understanding chronic pain and quote, what's wrong with you and quote, why do I feel this way? Okay, stop. You've reached the end of the line. Here you are, me and you. Here we are. We're here. We are at the end. You finally reached it. This is it. This is it. So allow this to be. Get off the train. Get out of the car. Walk around. Get to know this stop because this is it. Get to know the terrain. Get to know the neighborhood because this is where you are building your new house. This is your new spot. This is where you live now. This is where I live now. This is where you need to be. There's so much life to be had here, and there's no going back. I mean, like, of course, you can technically go back. Like, you can go back to like procedures and pills and stupid shit, but like, why? It's not going to work. You're here now. And this might take a while. There's a lot to do here. There's a lot of work to do here. There's a lot of work to do here. A lot of emotional work, a lot of psychological work. There's a lot of work to do here. And there's also a lot of chilling the fuck out to do here, which is sometimes even harder than the work. There's a lot of chilling the fuck out to do here. But let this be the healing because this is it. Stay here. Stay here. How do you heal chronic pain? 3 parts. 1. Well, okay, before we get into how do you heal chronic pain, let me just quickly say, why do you have chronic pain? You have chronic pain because pain is a danger signal. You are experiencing, if you're in chronic pain, your nervous system is feeling more in danger than safe. There are so many reasons why you might be feeling that way. We don't even need to obsess over like why exactly is it? Oh God, what made you this way? But what we need to know is, yeah, your nervous system is interpreting and feeling more danger than it is safety. That's why you're in chronic pain. Pain and symptoms are danger signals, period. So, how do you heal from chronic pain? 3 parts. 1, do the psychological work, teaching your brain and your nervous system that it is safe to feel physical sensations and it is safe to be in your body. That includes it is safe to feel pain. Because if you have TMS, there's nothing structurally wrong with your body. If any of this is like confusing to you or you're like, wait, what? Maybe you stumbled upon this. Most people listening to this are like speak this language and get it. If you don't, awesome. Welcome to the club. Start from the beginning. Season 1, episode 1, and it's episode, I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is gonna, it's a lot of content, but hey, if you want to heal from chronic pain, this will change your life. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, start at the beginning, episodes 1 through 5. That'll give you the foundation. If you get me, cool. First, how do you heal from chronic pain? Part 1, the psychological work. Teaching your brain and your nervous system that it is safe to feel physical sensations. Part 2, the emotional work. Teaching your brain and your nervous system that it is safe to feel your emotions. You get to feel everything that you feel. Nothing is not allowed. All of it is okay. You are just a human. You just feel emotions. Emotions are part of the universe. You are part of the universe. It's all okay. Whatever emotions you feel, it's okay to feel them. And I know if you're in chronic pain, you did not grow up that way. You are not used to thinking like, oh, it's okay to feel every emotion. You're used to thinking like, wow, some of these really got to stay in hiding and they're not allowed and I can't show them. We're changing that now. You've reached the end of the line and this is what we're doing here. We're changing that now. We're doing things differently. So that's part 2, the emotional work. It is safe to feel all your emotions. And number 3, the work of patiently attuning to your true self. It is okay to be you. Teaching your brain and your nervous system that it is safe to be you. Tune into you. Who are you? Who are you? And you get to be that. Whoever you are, you get to be that. The parts you think of as good, the parts you think of as bad, great. All of it is allowed. All of it is good. All of it is safe. You are good. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself well. Treat yourself with respect. That's part 3 of the chronic pain healing work, patiently attuning to your true self. Whew. And stay here. That's the whole point of what we're talking about today. Stay here. This is it. Like Christina Sarno Horner so wisely suggests, do the TMS healing work and stick with it. It may not work in the first day. In fact, it probably won't. It may not work in the first month. It may not work in the first few months. It may not even really feel like it works in the first year. Lord knows I've been doing this for 3 years, and it has totally worked for me. And yet, I still have symptoms sometimes where I like when my hip hurts bad, I'm like, "This doesn't work for me." Okay, stick with it. Stick with it. I'm saying this to you and to me because this is it. This is the end of the line. This is it. Your nervous system is the child having the panic attack, and I want to infuse the confidence that I had to step into as the teen social worker. I wanna I just, like, feel myself, like, pushing it through the microphone into your heart. I wanna push that confidence into your heart because that is for you. That is my gift to you. Let yourself be that healer for you. You have reached the end of the line. You can stand in the confidence knowing, like, okay, I will sit here. I will sit here with you and I will listen to your problems and I will talk to you and I will comfort you and I will ask you questions. I'll do that for you until you calm down. And I know that you will. I know you will. Did I ever have a kid who had a panic attack indefinitely and couldn't stop? It literally, the day is over and, it's time to leave and I gotta turn out the lights and clock out because they were super strict about clocking in and out because they were so cheap and wouldn't, give us any overtime ever. Did I ever well, a few times I did have to stay late for, like, dumb shit, but, like, was it ever because a kid was having an indefinite panic attack? No. No. Never happened. People, calm down. Nervous systems, calm down. Yours will too. Oh, and that's the message I have for you today. And good job. I am trying to do slightly shorter podcasts, and this is not super short, but at least it's not an hour long. Yay! Success. You've reached the end of the line, and you can do this. Okay. If you want a therapist to help you, like, take this work deeper, know that I'm available, and I would be very happy to talk with you. I would love to meet you and, help you get on the road to healing your chronic pain. If you're interested in having a therapist and you know that that would be helpful for you, by all means, give yourself that gift. You can reach out to me, through my website, SeanHershey.com or mindbodymedicineforchronicpain.com. They will both take you to the same place. Um, if you have a question you'd like to hear addressed on the podcast, yeah, let's talk. You can be part of the conversation. There's a link in the show notes to ask a question on the podcast, so please click that. And there's a whole box to type in. You can ask a question on the podcast. I'd love to hear from you. If you're enjoying the show, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Um, they might hate it. That's okay. They might love it. That's even better. um, Also, please rate the show, write a written review for the show. It means if this show means something to you, that means a lot to me. It's a great way to say thank you to me if you're enjoying the show and if you appreciate the show. It's a great way to say thank you to me, and I really appreciate it. A written review in the app that you listen to the podcast on, so like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, that would be deeply appreciated. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am there at mygaytherapist. Okay, wishing you the absolute best in your healing. You can do this. Pushing that confidence from my heart through the microphone into, your phone or your computer, whatever you're listening to, through your earbuds into your heart. Feel that. Feel that. Open your heart and feel it. Feel the confidence swelling in there, right? Doesn't that feel good? Okay. And I will plan to talk to you next week.